Todd, right next to Sylvia.
Well, maybe the flyer will be
Come
correct,
on.
Patrick.
What?
The flyer. Then you find it wrong. Yeah.
How are you? Hi, Ted.
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Remember, don't touch the wire. Remember? I
Wait, you
learned.
can't touch it or should?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Todd's gonna pull that thing away. It's gonna pull the wire out. We're gonna be a
No.
mess.
You can't touch the wire.
There you go.
Okay. Take it from someone who's made that mistake.
We're good. We're live.
The voice of experience.
Yes.
All right, cool. We're live here, folks. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town of New Windsor organizational town board workshop. Today is January 5th, 2025. First, I want to say happy New Year to everybody. Before we get started, get everybody stand up for the pledge, please. 26, 25, yeah. Steve, lead us.
To the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for bringing that up, Eve. I prided myself so far. Everything I've signed, I've always put 26 on it, and I haven't messed up when I verbalized the date wrong. But before we get started, we got our board here with us, our Deputy Supervisor Steve Moreau, Councilwoman Sylvia Santiago, Councilwoman Eve Lincoln, Councilman Charlie Rowe, our Highway Superintendent Anthony Fido. I have our Town Clerk Patricia Clarino. I do have our wonderful Assessor Todd Wiley with us. He's part of the agenda here. Got our Receiver of Taxes Sue Scheibel with us here. I got our Town Attorney Dave Dagon, our Police Chief Danny Belair. Again, welcome again to everybody to our organizational meeting here for 2026. I got not a too bad agenda. I will tell you, Wednesday's meeting, we have 91, I think, agenda items, so we should be out here. We should be out here by 11 or so, but
Don't be a chicken.
so just to get started here. So for the organizational part of the meeting, so as you folks are aware, obviously, you know that you've been here and done this before. We have a bunch of just reappointments to do and so forth, so on and so forth. We have the reappointment of the deputy town clerks in Patty's office. We got Sue's deputy's reappointment. We got Dave Zagon reappointment for the town attorney, Doreen Casey for the town comptroller. I do have posted too, and I believe we sent out, but we'll have all the schedules put out for everybody for our town board meetings and our workshops for these here. Anthony had everything prepared for the holiday refuse and the refuse schedule, recycling as well. Recycling's here. The zoning board and planning board schedules are all here, so everything is all here up in par. We got, again, motions to do a whole bunch of things that you folks know. We got to appoint we go through here and appoint the town justices, town board members, deputy supervisor, set salaries for deputy supervisor, town attorney, comptroller, liaison officers, appoint the register of vital statistics, deputy town clerks, oil officer, records advisory board. We do our liaisons and stuff like that, administrative duties of the supervisor, appoint delegates and alternates to the AOT. So we got a packed little thing here. We got chairman of the boards, zoning board, planning board, and fire advisory boards, and approved for clerk stuff and all that stuff. So that's our wonderful agenda and organizational part of Wednesday's meeting. Again, I think we have, and it's subject to change always after tonight. We have 93 agenda things on there. So I should be able to get through it pretty quick, I hope. But we'll give it a shot. I think we shared with you guys too, all of these items such as the like the ambulance corps members and the fire departments and so all stuff like that. So you guys need anything or missing or something or want to inquire something, let me know and I will get it to you. Number 2 thing on the agenda is the 2026 paving projects. I know Anthony was working on, and I'm not certain he has them all done yet. Anthony, is that right? The roads and
still working on the list, almost done.
miles.
We're
Okay.
probably gonna be looking at about 26, 27 miles. That's what I'm thinking, but
Now, would that be over the 4 years or that's a year?
no, that'd be over the 4 years.
4 years, okay. So
That's what we did last time. We did
Okay.
4 years.
So we're gonna do a 4-year paving bonding again. To do, like Anthony had said, the 26 or 27 miles remainder of town roads. We do, and I think, Andy, hopefully we're gonna include the remainder of the Stewart Airport.
That's included in it too.
2 or 3 roads up there, right? I think right Hudson Valley Avenue and in front of the Blacktop plant. I think it's pretty much.
Pretty much everything up there, yes.
Yeah, which came out great. Our guys, Anthony's guys did all that, which came out wonderful, and
She's happy.
we're happy with that. So the remainder of Stewart roads, we're gonna do, I forget the exact length, but we're gonna bond the entire Woodlawn Cemetery part of it. We've been piecemealing that together. We did part of it
Yeah.
last year, but we're gonna probably do the remainder of it.
Yeah.
I think Anthony's gonna go do that. So, I think we're gonna, I don't know how you're gonna do it. If we're gonna look to just rip out, or I don't know, I think reclaiming's probably a
Well, when we
bad.
get there, we'll take a closer look.
Yeah, right. So we
Make
can.
that decision, what you want to do.
So we're gonna do that, and then we were looking at some of the, and Anthony did bring up a good point, maybe look at some of the parks, to see what we did. I know, Christie Babcock Park needs a little work there, if you will. I know it's years of, I think when the lane was probably cleared 15, 18 years ago, it was probably stumps buried and moles and everything else, so I'm sure it's time, some of this stuff is getting there. And a few of the other parks need some. I know, Ricchetti Park's gonna get a little makeover, so that we don't have to worry too much about right now. And San G is the parking lot there needs to be redone as well. So we'll have to look at all these and hopefully incrementally get those done as well. So that's for 2026. I think at some point, you probably announced, right? I think the roads we're gonna do for that particular year that we're gonna
Yes,
do, yeah.
absolutely.
So
Get
people
on
know.
this for each year, once I figure out what roads we're gonna do and that one.
So that's it for the paving projects. Anybody got any questions? I would say if you feel your road has been neglected and for some odd reason, I know it's funny because I see a lot of these posts where people ask like, when are you gonna fix the potholes? And I think the New Windsor roads are pretty, as far as pothole free and pristine, if you ask me. I know a lot of people don't realize the state and county roads that we really, although I do call and complain all the time.
That is a level of confusion that
Yeah.
I have found.
Yeah, there's,
People assume because it's in the town of New Windsor that we.
it's our road.
Yeah, well, there's county and there's state and I understand their frustration.
Yeah, and
I
we,
lost 2 tires last winter myself.
I
but
know when they
No.
call for our road, they're out right away.
Yeah,
Whole
no,
pack-
they
very
are.
passionate.
Yeah.
If I just pass on a request from my particular neighborhood again, the Beaver Dam area, if you could just look into, maybe a couple spots we had talked about a year or two ago. That where you, down on Hickory at the end where you enter the Chestnut Park, we
Mhm.
talked about maybe knocking down a tree and just doing 2 or 3 spots, but it's just a
Yeah.
request that I get sometimes. I just.
Yeah, I get it. I know we'll have to have
Yeah.
a more full-on conversation with that, because, again, I think, obviously that park was designed, it's at the end of a dead end, but it was designed to park up on Chestnut,
Yeah.
right?
Little,
It
yeah.
kind of devalues a little bit, I think, of that dead end, if you will, by
Yeah.
creating a lot of traffic going up and down there. We can create something, but it's something we can look at,
Yeah.
definitely, we can have a more full-on conversation, see what the ideas are.
And I would just add to the previous conversation, I know that when there are problems on county and state roads, that those notifications are made
Oh, yeah,
quickly. That's
yeah,
not
no,
something
yeah,
that sits, and that's it's important to put that on the record.
I gotta be
I
honest with you.
understand people's frustration when we don't control the road, but we're also very prompt to make sure proper people are notified on that.
I had,
That's an important point.
few weeks ago, I had lunch with the DOT boss here in Newburgh.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, very,
Mhm.
get more with honey than you do with vinegar, and we
Hmm.
got a good relationship, and we've been, I call him up and the guy's family's right there, so. They've been very good. The state's been good with us, and it's my entire reign here. We've got a lot of them, so, I've been dealing with them, but yeah, definitely, they're getting it,
Right,
but
well,
their state roads need a lot of work around here, that's for
Yeah.
sure. And they're
They do.
receptive to listening to me, but
But-
getting their work done is a whole nother thing. The next thing on the agenda is the professional legal services for the planning board. So if you guys notice, you guys got a letter. So we have Drake and Loeb is our planning board attorney. Dominic Credesco is the one assigned from them who does our planning board work. They've always charged us $225 a meeting or a year, or their legal service rate, and they were increasing it to $250. I checked, they've increased it through all their towns. Everybody's the same, so the rate's $250. And I'm not, most of that gets pushed off onto the applicant, so the applicant pays their fee, so when he has to do work for us, I I'll beat them up a little on it, but the 250 raise just increased from across their board in their firm for us, so I just want to make you guys all aware of that. This I will tell you, I don't know, Dave, I'm gonna kind of point at you too, the New Windsor and New Windsor ambulance agreement. So we have an agreement with the New Windsor Ambulance Corps for coverage here in town. It was a 3-year agreement, which is expired at this point. And I know we had some back and forth with their attorney, right?
Not yet.
Oh,
Next week.
okay, next week. So we're gonna have a sit down meeting with them. I know there's been some back and forth with some comments and everything. I know Jess has been, I think, dealing with them. You folks, I believe, had a red line copy of the agreement. If not, I have it here. And it's pretty much standard. They're just changing a couple of things in the agreement to just to capture some stuff that it's 3 years later and things that people probably either missed or have changed for us. So, but I think that should be hopefully done for next month, and we'll be able to approve this with them. I think we all know that our new ambulance corps is second to none, so we obviously love their service and appreciate everything from them. So I think that'll be easy. It's work in progress there. The next item on the agenda. So I did notice I've been watching the governor's office and especially the attorney here. We've been watching things that bills that the governor signs and so on and so forth. So I did notice, and I just added the veterans to this, but I noticed that there was a senior property tax exemption again. I will tell you that Todd is not only our resident expert, he teaches half of this stuff, and he's the best assessor in the state. But I had asked Todd to come today, maybe put a little on something. So I have the senior, I was going to talk about the seniors. They just signed something for the veterans as well. So I'm going to just maybe ask Todd to just talk to really what this bill is about for both the seniors and the veterans. And I don't know, maybe want to pick one or the other, and we'll start on that. We'll go
Yeah, I
from
think
there.
I'll start with the veterans exemption. We've been monitoring, we, the Assessors Association, been monitoring a bill that we anticipated would probably be signed by the governor, and she did sign it on December 19th. And basically what it does is for certain veterans that are 100% disabled with additional certain criteria for eligibility, they would, if approved by, the taxing jurisdiction, be it the town, the county, or the school district, or a city, or a village, they would be 100% exempt. They would pay nothing. Okay, so she did sign it on the 19th, and I've been getting phone calls and visits from veterans over the last 6 months. It's out in the news that the bill was signed. And I thought it would be wise to share with Steve and you that this law is out there, whether or not you want to adopt it or not. Today, I received an email from the New York State Assessors Association pointing out that it's a little more involved than just veterans that have 100% disability. They need to have certain other conditions.
This is that email.
And that hasn't been advertised in the newspapers at all. Okay, so I put together a little explanation of this topic for you. I also included the email that I got today from the New York State Assessors Association that touches on all that.
Thank you.
Pass it around. And I also, Steve and I had a conversation Friday, and I thought time, was of the essence, because any law, if you wanted to get it into play as soon as possible, you have to have it on the books by March 1st, okay? Conversation I had with Dave Zagon, we just can't do that this year. By the time you schedule a public hearing, have the public hearing and all, you can't do it by March 1st. It would spill over sometime after March 1st. So, we're not under a gun to take any action for this cycle. And what I mean by this cycle, anything that gets changed by March 1st would impact the town tax bill a year from now, January 2027. So we have some breathing room. We want to get it right. I did an analysis, and we have 413 veteran exemptions here in the town. 259 of them currently are receiving the disability portion of some degree, whether it's 10%, 30%, 70%, or 100. And 97 of them have a disability rating of 100%. Okay, it doesn't mean that if we adopted this, that we would have 97 veterans that wouldn't be paying any town taxes at all. Again, there's additional criteria. I had a phone call late this afternoon from a veteran, and I know he works. He happens to be a drug enforcement agent in the general region, and I've met him in my office a couple of times. He's still working, so I mean, he automatically, would not be eligible. And I pointed that out to him and kind of took the wind out of his sails. We've had a couple of angry visitors too, that they heard it was signed, they wanted to not pay taxes anymore. And when myself or my staff told the veteran that it's has to be passed locally, that was not promoted in the newspaper articles generally that I saw. Okay, all this stuff is enabled by the state, but it takes action by the local government in order to make it, eligible. So we've been educating people. I told Steve that I bring some additional information as to where everybody else is at with these veteran exemptions across the county, not just the veterans exemption, but also the senior citizen. So the next two handouts I have, one is for the school districts and one is for the senior citizen exemption. They're all highlighted in yellow, as well as the veterans exemptions. We have different strengths that we can give to these. We can raise the income ceilings for the low income seniors. More people would qualify. We did that 2 years ago. We bumped it from 37.4 as an income with a sliding scale. The lower your income, the more of a break you got. We raised it to 42.4, and we made no sliding scale. You're below 42.4, you get 50%. So we did make a pretty significant boost 2 years ago, but with inflation, the board may want to revisit it. You have a few other things that you can do. There's also 2 years ago, the New York State legislature significantly changed the formula as to what we're looking at, okay? And they also gave us some additional options, depending if you want to be more generous yet. There's certain things you could exclude from income. But because we're not under the gun, to do anything by March 1st, I'm just going to give you general information about that tonight. I think we should have a follow-up meeting, maybe towards the end of the summer, early fall. So if we do anything, we'll have time to do it adequately prior to March 1st of 2027. Okay. But these are those two handouts.
So Todd, I'm sorry, out of these 97, just to, I want to go back to the veterans thing, out of the 97 have a rating of 100%. I know you said that, and I saw the criteria they got to meet. I mean, there's no, you don't know you would have to interview each one of them to see if they meet it, right?
Well, that's a great question, Steve. My staff and I were talking about that today. Is when you read through that assessor's bulletin, the information that we get a VA letter that's provided to the veteran, and it tells us what their percentage of disability is. Sometimes they also will give us the medical explanation of their disabilities. We don't even need that, but sometimes they're dropping it off as a package. And my staff, they just, they rely on me to go through the documentation, generally make sure that they have everything we need. And, but I would say in probably 80–90% of the cases, we don't have enough information. So if we adopt this, or, if the school district were to adopt it, or if the county were to adopt it, we'd be administrating that locally here in the town, even if the town didn't adopt it. And we would have to go through all that stuff. So it could be a fairly complex, initial submission. But once they get approved, I mean, one of the criteria is they're permanently disabled. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But again, if they're still employable, they're still working, they're not eligible under the way the statute was written. So I'd only be guessing if I were to try to estimate how many people whose taxes we'd be wiping out.
I mean, I think their biggest savings would probably obviously be the school district. That's 80% of your tax bill anyway.
Yeah.
I just, I will say, and I think you taught me this, that obviously this is all revenue neutral, right? So when it, ultimately, if we give it to them, it's just going to spread it to the rest of.
Well,
town.
That's the downside.
Yeah.
I mean, the upside is, anything that you pass as far as exemptions, those people who qualify, they benefit, of course, they pay less in taxes. But all that money that gets exempted, gets pushed on to everybody else. And it comes to veterans exemptions. I was on the phone today with a fellow assessor who happens to be a veteran. And, he never put in for the veterans exemption personally. He's the assessor in the town where he lives. And he just said that, he didn't feel that he needed it. And he also, as the assessor, he's saying, well, what are they doing, for the people who aren't fortunate enough to own a home that are renting? What breaks do they get, from the local government as far as taxes and things? So, there's a lot of ways you could look at it. But I would like to point out with this new exemption aside, just the veterans exemption in general, it's a market value based exemption. And that was adopted in most of these towns and even the county government decades ago. $40,000 of market value exemption, 30 years ago, that was substantial. It was 30 years ago, you could buy a bi-level in this house for $120,000. Okay. So now a $40,000 market value reduction, when bi-levels are selling for $450,000, I think it's time that the board revisit that and, consider giving it a boost. Just to keep it kind of into perspective as to what the original intent was. Okay. But again, there's nothing we can do now, between now and March 1st of this year, 26. But I think we should, take a real close look at it. Probably start towards the end of the summer so that you as board members can all be, dialed in on it and they come to a consensus and have your public hearing and, hear what anybody else has to say.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. I did notice on here, the veterans exemption, you have actually the county with the
County,
different
yeah.
numbers.
Well, the numbers I provided were actually for the 2025 assessment roll.
Did the county change it for?
They did change it.
They did.
They changed it this past year. Matter of fact, when it was brought to the county executive and the county legislature's attention, I heard that they were, some of the legislators were a little bit annoyed that they hadn't been shared this information prior. They would have raised it earlier, and they went to the max. As you see,
It's quite a substantial. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But again, if the house was, when this stuff was kind of coming into play, when houses were selling for $80,000, $100,000, at some point, and they adopted this, it's all kind of, relevant and, you might want to keep it proportionate, but again, for every dollar that the veterans save, everybody else is going to have to make up for that. So-
Listen, we obviously had, I want to touch on a little bit at the end. We obviously had a little higher increase than normal this year with, our tax increase and, to just, right now, my thought is to push all of this off on those same people is, a big ask, to do it at once. Do you do incrementally a little bit, over the next 10 years and, something.
Yeah, making bold moves on anything, has consequences, but again, personally, I think it's high time that the veterans exemption be, revisited, the general veterans exemption.
Yeah.
My recommendation is that you not plan on adopting this new one that was signed on the 19th yet until we get some more clarification about the nuances. The actual text isn't updated yet in the tax department's, website. They're current now as of October. This was just passed in December. Yes, we can get the bills and all, but a lot of times things were omitted. They change something and they take out another sentence or two, another paragraph, and so that it flows legally, logically.
I think
That hasn't happened yet.
I think we learned that with the fireman's exemption, that as soon as it got signed,
Yes.
we visited it, but it changed a couple of times, and after they got some definitions and everything, it was worth us waiting, so.
Yeah, well,
In this case, we have to.
If you look closely, the middle document from the Assessors Association on the back states that the last paragraph, the association expects that the bill sponsors may request a chapter amendment to address concerns or clarify intent. However, there is no indication if, when, or how long that process may take. The association will continue to monitor the legislation, provide updates as information becomes available. I mean, if the board is interested in doing this again, we can't do it by March 1st. Or just the time.
No, I think
But I think if you want to revisit
I
that, you
think
want
in
to.
this summertime, at some
Yeah.
point, if you have a little, a little downtime, we got some other things we gotta tackle.
Yes,
But maybe we can put a little more effort into, doing a little more research. Hopefully this veterans thing will evolve into its final
Yeah.
state. And then we can put forth whatever we gotta do with the, cause I don't know, do you have did you have a number on the seniors? The amount of seniors that get the exemption in the property?
370.
Oh, I think you did tell me. You actually spurted it off, I think.
That's getting some portion of the exemption.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
that's not just for the town tax, okay? That means they're getting some type of a senior exemption period.
Right.
Okay, on that one chart, you can see what the income ceilings are. For example, we're at 42.4. If you're
Yeah.
below that, you get the maximum of 50% off.
Yeah.
Cornwall School District's going 37,400, as is the Washingtonville School District. The county government is at 37.4. We're at 42.4. But the Newburgh School District at the last second last year, they increased it to 58,400. But again, everybody but us has the sliding scale. So as you can see in this chart. One more.
Oh, thank you.
So there's basically increments, of like $999. And the lower your income, the greater a percentage you get off,
Yeah, right.
okay? And there are several options available in the statute for the low income senior exemption. If the town wanted to be even more generous to the seniors, that'll be my final handout. I'm not gonna, read it to you, it's too lengthy. The only one of the real options that we've adopted, and it benefits the seniors, it was actually at my suggestion, my first year here. The old law, as well as the current one, allows the town to deduct from people's income any unreimbursed medical expenses, okay? And in my mind, our most fragile taxpayer is the senior citizen with significant medical expenses that they're paying out of pocket. I mean, some of these people, it's pathetic, how low their income is. And you see, they spent, 25% of their income on medical expenses. So, when I first started here, I pointed that out to the then, administration, and they adopted it right away. Okay. We have a lot of seniors. I mean, some of them only qualify for this exemption because they only qualify on the town tax because, we allow them to deduct their unreimbursed medical expense. I mean, you have a married couple, they might still don't have much income, but between the two of them, they got significant unreimbursed medical expenses, for prescriptions, the Medicare premiums, or, come out too. That's an allowable expense. But there's other things. If the town wanted to be more generous, one tool is to raise the income ceiling. Another one is to play with the formula. It's a bold formula they came out with 2 years ago, turned everything upside down. And the reason they did that, and they basically, the attorneys that work for the tax department, they come to our annual assessors events and they present, about what's changed, why it changed, and what the legislatures are doing, what they're working on. And, somebody who's making, say $40,000 a year income in Orange County, New York, that's one scenario. That person who lives down in Westchester, it's not as much money. Everything's more expensive down there, the property taxes and everything. And you go up to, some rural county in upstate New York, $40,000 might be plenty. Prices, the houses are less, the school budgets are smaller.
Maybe
So it's all kind of relevant.
Yeah, maybe what we'll do is we'll you know, me and I will sit down, we'll kind of set a little bit of a schedule up to kind of, you want to hand that out?
Yeah, this is just an overview of the
Yeah.
senior exemptions and some of those, options that the town can play with.
So what we can do is we'll set up something, you know, we're looking into it, we're looking at it. It's obviously not gonna get past this March. It's something that we gotta have a more follow on and in-depth conversation and we'll poke at it and we'll and in the meantime too, we'll see what the rest of these folks are doing here with theirs to see if they think we'll do anything different. And then we'll kind of make a decision from there.
Great.
I appreciate all this effort, Todd.
Good, thank you, Tom.
Yeah, that's
really good.
Very informative.
Yeah.
Test will be next Wednesday.
Yes. Step down tomorrow. We'll test on it. All right, thank you again, Todd. The next item on the agenda is just so you guys are gonna probably see us approve or point some put some no parking signs up. So if you guys have I don't know if you've seen a couple of times, I've had actually Anthony came, stopped in here one day and we talked about Hudson Valley Avenue and referenced Amazon and just people park. I've been getting some complaints from the Grove, people parking on Hudson Valley Avenue, Amazon, all their trucks and garbage like you would not believe. So I myself and Jeff from my office stopped up to Amazon. We spoke to the whole facility manager there. I went in there with a bunch of pictures and showed her. She made the fatal mistake of giving me her cell phone number. So every day I send her a picture or a text and say, hey, this and that. She did clean up a little bit. I do get some text messages every once in a while from residents up in the Grove about the van still parking there. So I think what we're gonna do is we're going out and kind of mapped out we're gonna put some no parking signs in Hudson Valley Avenue. No, actually, I think this is something I gotta check with the law. So I rather do no parking, stopping and standing, because when people see no parking, they stand there and say, no, it just says no parking. I'm not parking, I'm just stopping here. So I want to put no parking, stopping, standing signs from basically almost 207, the entrance to Hudson Valley Avenue, Amazon, all the way up to the Grove. And then from when you go in to the Avenue of Americas, down around the bend there, we're gonna put them. I actually drove through there the other day. We had a water main break up there, it was at, and they come around the corner and there's, if you see Amazon, if you go through their parking lot, they got these big bins, almost like a paper, aluminum bins they have. There was a whole ton of them in the middle of the road, and Torres took a picture, sent it to the lady, said she's gonna have somebody come over and take them out. But they're literally, Amazon's literally driving up, and all these outfits, there's like 6 or 7 different vendors that have trucks that go in there and deliver. They literally pull up Hudson Valley Avenue, open their bay doors and just throw garbage out. It's absolutely a mess up there. And now it kind of blends in with the snow. You can't see it, but when the snow's going, so
Yeah.
she,
Shouldn't be a problem.
I kept pounding her. I
Good.
keep saying, listen, what are we doing here? You guys, Amazon's a $1 billion corporation. You can't keep the streets clean. So
Yeah.
I drove through their parking lot and I took some pictures. I actually sent it to one, but I said, I can see why my roads are like this because your parking lot's the same way. And then she ordered some more dumpsters in, so she's trying to make a good faith effort. However, that road there is sort of kind of narrow in its sense on its own, and there literally had 20 vans parked on the side of the road the other day, just park there. And those people get out and throw garbage and they go into work because their parking lot is too small for it. So I'm gonna push to put these no parking signs up there, and then I'll have they'll say I'll have the police enforce it. They have a couple no parking signs there, but they have them by fire hydrants, which doesn't mean anything to them because they were blocking them the other day too. So when you do see the no parking signs on there, they're in that parking lot. I am working with the manager there. She seems to be, I did have the police department do a little bit of a history for me at the warehouse. They had, and he gave this to me on December 15th. They had a total of 49 calls at Amazon. 19 of them were parking complaints. There's a couple accidents and a few other stuff, calls, but they have contracted with a local towing firm that goes in there and just tows cars out of Amazon that are parked in a fire lane and stuff like that. I wish they had a garbage firm that went in and picked all the garbage up, but so I'm kind of just sending them a little message to keep the place clean. If not, we're gonna do it ourselves. So
Absolutely.
you're gonna see that on the agenda for the no parking sign. So So next one is the townwide, we're gonna, update our townwide solar code. I will tell you that, this is gonna be it's a couple parts. So we've been dabbling with doing the solar code for a long time now. I know, again, our law office has got a whole ton of things going on. So, I'm gonna say probably a year and a half ago, I got contacted by a pretty big, solar company that wanted to put battery storage in New Windsor, well, both New Windsor and I think Hamptonburg are on the line. There was a split between properties. We talked, I told them I really wasn't too happy with it. And they went away, I thought. Fast forward, we had a solar company come into town they're actually going to be building a just solar panels on the ground, but in their project, they had like one or two of those, I'm going to call them Conex boxes for a better word there, that was going to be a battery storage. They felt that there was a section of our code that allowed it. We had some meetings with them and told them that we're not happy with it because it's still not exact science. They agreed to take those batteries out of the solar farms. They're going to still build the solar farm, but they're not going to be doing the battery storage. So fast forward, we have this solar code teed up to do. I know the planning board had one or two applicants that come in and there were some questions about some setbacks. We had some people that weren't happy with some setbacks. And then they talked about battery storage and stuff, yada, yada. So then I get called by the same solar company. It's called Terrigen. They called me and I said, hey, listen, we're talking about doing a solar battery storage place, 250,000 megawatt one in New Windsor. And I said, okay, where? So I took a phone call for them. So they're talking about doing it. They want to do it at like 20 on a 25 acre, or I'll call it a 65 acre parcel because we don't know how big it is. They're identifying a 65 acre plot, but they're going to carve 25 acres out of that apparently at a Stewart State Forest. So they're looking, apparently they're in the deals with the DEC and the state to do something. I guess their plan is to, if they buy 25 acres from the state, that they got to do 25 acres adjacent to it, replace it, and they have someplace apparently in Montgomery to replace it with. I spoke to Montgomery supervisor. I told Terrigen, listen, they're, and ironically, the Warwick fire pops up again, right? Which is on, I think it was on a church property there. My argument is that, listen, I've been a volunteer fireman for 41 years, and we've gone through a whole, evolved through a lot of fire stuff, and they cannot figure out the battery. I don't care if he says they can't figure out how to put them out. They're dangerous. I know there was, the latest figures, I said, they came up with some air quality issues apparently with some cyan. I don't know what the heck it was, but it was some issues. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, no, that's not, there's no room for that here in New Windsor as far as I'm concerned. So, I went to the attorney's office, like, we got to move up this solar code a little quicker. So the solar code, we do need to identify some fencing stuff. There's some fencing concerns in there, some setbacks in there. So Dave put together the whole thing, and I kind of want to bounce off you folks. So first of all, I don't know, is anybody here like in favor of wanting to see this battery storage? I don't think. Listen, I just think it's too volatile. If you look at them, they're on properties that are exempt. I spoke to the Warwick supervisor, the town supervisor, but the actual fire was in the village, so they had nothing to do with it. They do have a moratorium on it right now. I said I'd rather not do put effort in the moratorium. I'd rather just do what we got to do to identify where battery storage is allowed, like on a single family house, whether it would be, part of the solar on your roof that would charge a little battery or something like that. I said, but there's no room for that here in town. I don't think we should, I will tell you the unknown would be to me is, does the state get to come out and say, we're just going to do it and it's our property? But if they sell it to them, that could be a problem for the purchaser, because now they're in town and they're not even in a zone there because it's agricultural, so we don't know. There is current farming on this particular plot that's going on too from the Rowe family orchards out there and everything. So I kind of called them, they didn't know anything about it, so I kind of put them on their radar too.
I think that one almost afford
But-
more protections against it.
Yeah, to me, I just think I think
Yeah.
it's a bad idea. I just don't
No, I
think we
agree.
should have them. There's unknowns. They haven't perfected them yet. If you think about it, out of everything in this entire world, the only thing they have not figured out yet is the battery. They all die on us. They can't, cars, whatever. So it's a bad idea. So I kind of told them, hey, listen, I know they want to throw, a couple $1 million at us. I'm like, I don't care. It's not worth people's health and risk for, the fire departments don't have a handle on it yet. I think it's a bad idea. We did come up with, so Dave threw some numbers at some setbacks and stuff like that for the solar farms, if you will, that are allowed in our zones, if you will. Originally, there was the number came up with a 200-foot setback from property lines. I feel that it should be at least 500 foot at minimum. That's just my opinion. I don't want, and I kind of use this example. I'm in the law office, and I'm like, if you look at that car over there, it's 100 feet away. Nobody wants that in your backyard. I think it should be 500 feet at least, So there, we did come up, we outlined some setbacks in the new solar code to make them more stringent to when the people come. Listen, there's so many solar people, there might be some properties that these people might just not like now because the setbacks are too much and it screws up their property. The property that you need to do for you have to put a solar farm, you have to have like 10 acres. I said we should increase that to 25. Not only, listen, there's pros and cons to it. I guess the solar farm is not a strain on your infrastructure, right? You don't have to worry about the sewer, the water, the police protection. Most of the time, the solar panels, if you will, the fire department, I don't know how many fires are on them or how bad they are, but then again, you look at the waste of property too. So it's just, people want to just see solar farms all over town. It gets to be annoying. I don't think, So the new solar code that we're looking to pass is going to actually outline some setbacks, if you will, some new setbacks. I think everybody's got the red line copy of what we were looking to do, and the purpose and the intent of what some of the other amendments to them. So, if anybody has any questions in reference to or issues or concerns between now and maybe Wednesday, shoot an email to the law office, or maybe we can make it a group email. I think they covered everything they did, and they did a nice job on it. Anything else on this, Dave? I think we're good with it, right? So, yeah.
I think it was circulated, right?
Yeah, everybody got it.
Yep.
I think we, like I said, with the original numbers, I did speak to the planning board, said, listen, this is our, thoughts where we are with battery storage. Listen, maybe at some point down in the future, maybe years and years from now, they perfect it and battery storage is allowed to come here at some point. Right now, I think it's just too dangerous. And if you look in Orange County, the two places that have them, I believe are exempt from any, if it's school district property, they don't have to go to any town, cities or villages and ask for any permission in church property. So that's why they're stuffing them on these properties, because they don't have any guidelines. This one here, they're looking to put in New Windsor. I don't care how much money they throw at us. I feel it's not worth the safety of and life hazard of anybody around here, whether it's in farmland or not. So if anybody's got anything, we can, we'll talk more about that. But that was the, it and the solar plan. If anybody wants to know more about the solar company and my conversations with them, we can definitely talk more about it, if you will, so we don't bore everybody with it. The next thing on the agenda is we're going after this. I say we, I guess give Jeff some props. We're going to go after this kennel grant again. So everybody remembers last year, we have our kennels out in the airport at the Buildings and Grounds building. It's got 3 runs in it, if you will. There's little sliding doors that when the dogs are inside, it's heated in there. And, for this time of year, when the doors are open, obviously it's on the airport. So imagine the draft that comes through there, they go out into an open air or fenced area. We put in for a grant last year. We didn't get it. We asked what the criteria was why we didn't get it. We actually called a couple agencies that got the grants, kind of picked their grant stuff. We did notice that a lot of these people that did get them actually had some professional engineering done. Jeff, who's with us here today, had his hand at designing it last time, but he did a little craft on his little Microsoft Word there, and he put his best effort forward. This time we asked MHE just to do some more more work on it. So we're going to ask for a bigger update to kennels, put outside enclosure, so when they go outside, they're not out in the weather, it's covered. Heat, air conditioning, some new doorway into the kennel, redo the bathrooms. There's bathrooms in there that's technically public, because the people have to go up and get their dogs when we do get them. So they're gonna have a public bathroom, if you will. I guess we could put a kitchen in, right? You know, about that, maybe not. So we're looking at for some upgrades. So we're in the middle of getting that grant paperwork done. You're gonna see us put in for that. Hopefully we get it. You know, there is a little bit of a match to it, but we're gonna try to do as much as we can with our own skill set around here. With whether it be digging or, you know, buildings and grounds guys do, their highway guys help put us in there. So Jeff is working. I think we have to have it in by the end of this month is the deadline. And then we're gonna put in for that. You know, it's gonna be a couple $100,000. I think we're gonna try to put in for it. You know, we're kind of lucky. Matter of fact, that building out there, it needs a lot of work on the exterior as well. So we're gonna try to make all that part and parcel to it. So that's where we're at with that kennel thing. So as you guys know, and we all voted to do this townwide insurance, right? So we actually had a bunch of meetings with them. We actually did switch. We have everything now with Gallagher. We even went to workers' comp coverage and everything with them. They did put together a bunch of packages for us and quotes for our renewals. We've got, as you guys know, we got a lot more coverage this time than we did than we had.
Remember that.
We added our, you know, our limits were raised a bit. Limits were raised on you know, things such as like employee theft, forgery and alteration, inside premise stuff, high risk flood stuff, low risk, and so on and so forth. Limits and everything. We've been dealing with the Gallagher. I will tell you, give you, for instance, that water we had down at the plant down there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, I was kind of defeated because thinking that we were not going to get anything out of them. And Gallagher had a gentleman that worked for them that really worked hard for us that, you know, got us that 500,000 for it. So, you know, I was kind of pleased with, you know, the work they've been doing. Our numbers came in. We were under the budget, what we did. We actually increased a couple things too. But we were under the budget, what we budgeted for our change, for us changing. So, this is everything here for you guys if you really want to look at it. But we just switched to the workers' comp carrier with them. So they're originally their first quote they put into a couple of different ones. Well, I'll give you a for instance. One was $953,000. The final quote was $891. So, you know, just to put it in perspective, so most people know, we pay over, you know, nearly $1 million, if not over $1 million in insurance, just in this insurance coverage. And we do use some of it. We have, you know, we have some accidents. We did have that failure down at the plant down there. So, but we did increase some of the coverage line, so we do get more money out of that. But again, it ended up being a very good move on us. That's another thing there. By us changing and getting the numbers we did, and again, like I said, we stayed under our insurance quote. So for the year, for the budget, so we did well with that. So again, I thank everybody that was involved in that as well. Keep that there. I think everybody got the red line copy of the standard schedule of fees. So there's a number of things. I should say a number of things, but we can obviously change this every month. But there are a number of alterations or increases we're going to do with a couple things that has to do with like either building escrow fees and planning board, zoning board stuff. There's some permitting fees they were increasing. The police department's going to be doing some fingerprinting now in-house for some of these applicants, tow and solicitors and stuff like that. So we have to capture that for charging. You have some the fireworks and amusement fees we're dealing with, we're talking about. I will tell you that there, you know, part of this standard schedule of fees kind of brought up a conversation. We had a family call, I don't know, police department maybe a month or so ago, looking for the future. Called August. They want to do they want to shut their road down, and they want to know for a block party and want to know what to do for that. And after talking to the police department, you know, it was something we would need to capture in here. And I think, you know, given the tragedy that happened in town with a block party,
Yeah.
I am not at all in favor of even getting in the middle of that, of us shutting down. So just imagine the town says, okay, let's fill out a permit, pay $50 to have a block party, you shut the road down on either side. The police department delivers your barricades, plastic barricades you put up, and something happens. Somebody there is either drinking or some person that doesn't know what happened or a medical issue, and they drive through the crowd and run them over. We've condoned this and allowed it. There's no safety operation. There's nothing. I think it's a bad idea for us to allow people to close their streets down. I said, not that, I'm gonna ask people to do this, but if somebody, sits out in their front of their street and they're hanging out with their neighbors and they're sitting in a lawn chair and cars are driving by and you're doing it on your own, then that's on you. But I think us getting in the middle of wanting to set some standard schedule of fees for block parties and stuff like that, I don't think is a good idea. I don't know if you guys think, and it's something we can edit and add, and you guys can give it some thought. What you think, again, I think given the most recent incident and tragedy, if you will, that happened, although that was on, I'm gonna say private property because it's a subdivision that's not dedicated yet. I still think it's a risk that if we're getting involved, which, I think it's true.
It wasn't even a busy of a neighborhood.
What's that?
It wasn't even like a huge busy neighborhood.
No, it's not. I mean, it was on really pretty much a pretty quiet part of the street. So, that again, that's some thought. If you guys, hear anything, got any ideas or something, let me know. Some meter changes, some meter expense changes, the ambulance, Medicare rate and non-Medicare rate needs to be adjusted in the standard schedule fee, so that's gonna be changed in here as well. The Beaver Dam Garbage District's numbers have changed a little because of the most recent tax change. That was nothing. The recreation has just added some facility pays, and they added their fees into the standard schedule fee to what they're doing with the rec. And the some towing fee changes for the tow companies that they've requested. However, that also does affect us because we do have our own impound storage place, so we would also, collect those fees as well if we were to do that. Is there another part of this? I hand out this insurance thing, were you looking at?
Oh,
I just want to make sure it ends up here, so, yeah. Oh, it's stuff in order, I don't want to lose it. So that's standard schedule fees. If you guys have, I believe the law office actually has created that document and made it a non-red line version, but if you have something in there you want to question from, by all means,
Just an email.
shoot us an email or say something, yeah, we can change it, not a big deal. And one more thing, so there's, obviously, as you know, I've been going through the last couple of years, I've been in here, been going through neighborhoods and writing up, properties and stuff like that. So one of them, there's two actually houses on this particular road. One, I'm probably more concerned of than not, but on John Street, 136 John Street, there was a fire in this house quite some time ago. And I got a bunch of pictures here if anybody wants to look through the pictures that I actually took. So, and one, right, couple doors down, that's 122 John Street. So I don't think people on that street should have to living with that and living with this. They're both vacant homes. That one suffered a fire. And that one has absolutely no roof and has definitely got some problems. This one has a soffit issue. I did go down there the other day again. The soffits, there's a sidewalk in front of this house and between the sidewalk and the house is only probably 4 feet. So, I could see this particular part falling. So they've been all written up. This is close to being the county taking it over, for taxes. That we've climbed every mountain to try to get a hold of that owner and done everything and we just can't. So, what we're gonna do is the reason I'm bringing this up, Attorney, is we're gonna authorize MHE to go out and if they're gonna deem it an unsafe structure, at some point, it may be taken down through the town board like we've done before and then put on the taxes and we get made whole for it. Again, this can't,
That's not, that's.
you got that, and then you got this, and the next thing there's gonna be another one, and these people should not have to live like that. So, that's something that we're gonna, you're gonna see that MHE is gonna go out, and again, it's fees that we don't get stuck with. We have A and B, not only is sightly, it's not safe,
No,
that's
it's not.
definitely, this is, a little bit more of a concern of mine. We're gonna try to do a little more, I talked to the county and there's a process before they collect taxes and stuff like it. So it's, in depth, if you will. So it doesn't happen overnight. So, we're gonna be doing that to take that down. There is a couple of things on here I just wanted to bring up quick before, because I didn't have them on the agenda. It's just to kind of bring you guys up to speed. The phone system. I know you promised you that's coming. I know we were just waiting till the click of the new year here to get that ordered. I don't know, Patrick, where are we getting close to? We just waiting for a PO, I guess.
The quote's ready to go, as soon as Doreen wants to issue POs, start moving on it.
So once we get those ordered and in, what would you say best case scenario is that we'll have a new phone system in town?
POs tomorrow, probably a month and a half, possibly 2 months, depending how long it takes for the numbers to transfer.
Right, so
So we're not
by the
far.
beginning of March, we'll say we could be up and running with a new system.
First sooner than that, yeah.
Right. So the phone system is gonna be, we were just waiting for the turn of the year, obviously new budget time. This is gonna be, probably a $50,000-$60,000 month saving to do that, so that's coming. The same thing as well as, and I saw there was an email today Patrick had sent to Doreen in reference to the town, we're upgrading all the townwide computers. It's been a long time. Some of the police department's done, some needs new. I know there was Patrick had did some shopping. I think we're talking about like $11,000 in savings on ordering these if we got to get these sooner rather than later, because we're afraid that these are going to increase soon too, right? But
There's massive hard drive and memory shortage right now from all the data centers. Prices are jumping up right now. Those computers on the New York State AgFi contract. I don't think they're gonna last on there long, because the companies, they have to be losing money on that pricing. They're gonna go back and try to renegotiate the contract. I'm thinking at some point.
so we're going to try to get that order in sooner rather than
Like,
later.
sooner,
Yeah.
they're budgeted for the year.
I thought tomorrow was going to be the date, but it looks like 9th now, maybe perhaps close to the new closing date of Abilities First. Raz Avenue, I saw some back and forth, who knows?
5:40, I got an email this night.
Yeah.
This evening, asking about the night.
But we can do the night. So Raz Avenue, obviously this building we've been dabbling with and getting involved with the last 12, 13, 14 years. We're right on the brink of being over with it and putting like 550 or so in the bank.
Okay.
So we'll be done with this. It'll be out of our hands and in the hands of Ability First. We wish them well. Once their
Second one in a month.
new old building, yeah, we're kicking these. I just want to give you guys a heads up in case you just hear some scuttlebutt. I've been listen, obviously you guys know if I'm not here, I'm home listening to the radio or the scanner or something. And I've been here in the police department, which they've been extremely busy, been doing a lot of runs to Goshen for arraignments and stuff like that. So they have this cap arraignment they do at night or after hours. And it's, they err on the side of caution. Two officers go out, they do these arraignments.
Yeah.
They got a back coverage, and then, I've been hearing too, after they do the arraignments, they're dropping, everybody gets released, so they drop you off at either Middletown at a hotel, or they bring you back home. So we arrest you, bring you back here, process you, bring you out for an arraignment and drive you back home. So it's all one-stop shopping, right? But it is a cost for it, there's a cost to it, and it's been, so, and then so during COVID, they had this cap arraignments, but it was all virtual, right? You went downstairs, you got arrested, you went in the back, they put a camera up and you got arraigned and it was over with. Then they did away with it. And then now there's a part of the law where it allows that if they have, if the judge deems an emergency, they can actually do a virtual arraignments again. So we had a snowstorm not too long ago. We did, and I had the police department had 4 arrests. They did a virtual arraignment downstairs, either drove them home or had the sheriff's car come pick them up. I'm not wasting fuel. I'm not wasting 2 cops. I'm not calling the people on overtime. It's just starting to get crazy. So I had questioned the police department with it. I'm like, why can't we do this virtual stuff? So they're like, well, we get it. So we have our area, this woman that's in charge of the 9th Judicial District here. So I was suggested to call her. I call her up. I complained about why can't we do virtual arraignment? She goes, I agree with you. It's something that needs to be changed way above her. She goes, I would suggest that you call. So I ended up calling Senator Skoufis. And he listened to me patiently and he says, I have a bill that's S-6250. I have a bill introduced right now into the legislation, to kind of get passed. He goes, but I gotta be honest, I have not pushed it. I really haven't done much because you're the first person to ever call me about it. No one's ever called me about it. So I was really, kind of figured no one was really interested. So I said, no, I'm interested. He goes, all right, if you are, he goes, you got to get some buy-in to do this. So I called the state associations of towns, spoke to the executive director. I spoke to Steve Newhouse, who was all about it. He spoke to the cities, the Association of Cities. I spoke to our local, so AOT, who's in on it. The State Association of Towns is gonna put it up for a vote to endorse this bill. The Steve Newhouse was all about it. He's gonna get the cities to do the same as well as our local AOT. I sent it to Denise Quinn, she pushed it out, or is gonna be pushing out to everybody. I did ironically got a call from Governor Hochul's office today from a representative from the area here. I went through the whole spiel with her, made her listen to it. She actually looked it up, and some of this stuff I don't know. Apparently it's only in committee, which is a little bit away. It's not, that means it's got a little time to go. She goes, but this is a good thing. So I said, can you please put it on the governor's radar, put a little sticky note on her desk. I called and asked her when it comes there, she signed it. It's like, oh yeah, sure. I said, well, I'm not going to go away until we figure this out. So it seems like we got a decent buy-in on this. So, and then again, it's just going to save even our police department. It's a pain in the neck, right? It's so much easier to walk in the back, turn on the computer, arraign them, and do what you got to do. Bring them back home right here. So I'm pushing that. We're gonna keep moving that until we get it, and hopefully I will. So that's a to-do list thing. I do want to say that we do have, I think after we approve Wednesday, our ethics code will be officially online and virtually done through the computer. I do have to thank John McDonald. John did a lot of, from our chief IT guy, did a lot of work for that. Got that all going. I think he sat with Patty a little bit today, right? Got Patty moving on that. So I think what's ultimately is going to happen once we turn the switch on, I think John's going to make sure he sees this through. Everybody's going to get an electronic notification through email. Going to give you the link, fill it out. When it's proper and good, I guess Patty gets it, and then
You DocuSign, you can docu.
you can DocuSign it and everything. So you can do all that from the comfort of your own home too. So again, we've propelled into 2026
You get a
then.
reminder if something.
You do, if you haven't done it. So it actually takes a lot off your plate too. It's the reminders and all that stuff of people doing them. And then the ethics board is the only one that gets all these disclosure forms when they're completed. So again, it's another thing we were able to move forward with. So I appreciate that. And one more thing, so I did ask, and I'm not gonna go through this whole thing, but will do. I know a lot of the taxpayers, and I get it, rightfully so, are a little bit upset in reference to the tax increase. I will tell you that at no point has this been a non-transparent topic. We've been doing this since the budget, since August, September, October, November. You can research the board minutes. You can simply call me. My phone number's on the internet. We've been at this for months and months and months. We had public hearings. We did everything. It's just something that the board felt that we needed to move in this direction. But there was an increase in people's taxes. I get it. This is not just the town of New Windsor. This is all over the county. I actually have a phone call. She actually called me, the county comptroller, while we were sitting here. I'm gonna ask her, I know she supplied a list last year to me. I'm gonna ask her, what town, cities and villages percentages they went up. Just for cases, I'm gonna share with the board. I'll put that on the internet. And my comptroller did a little more. She does a lot better explaining, to the T, if you will, the reason for the increase. I supplied you guys with her explanation today. I'm gonna actually just have this posted on the internet.
Yeah.
And for folks to look at, it's not, there's nothing agenda here. This is what it is. I shared it with the board in case they have anybody calls them, they can share with them. It'll be on the internet. I did share it. The Beaver Dam Lake Association actually called. I actually spoke to them the other day because I saw they had some stuff, some action going on with people wanting to know about it. I get it. It's all here. Anybody wants to watch it. And again, you could call my office, call my cell phone, and I will explain to you, the reasoning. But this is pretty, I don't want to say comprehensive, but it kind of gets to nuts and bolts of where the increases are. If anybody wants, if you go on the town website, the very first top blue box up top says the 2026 budget info. You click on that, there's probably 25 pages or so, kind of breaks down the whole budget. And basically, this is just reiterating it.
Yeah, but that's a good way. This is
Is
good.
there a way, do you remember when, especially since the sewer is the, a bulk of this, remember the presentation, that was done at, the board meeting, the
That's
public
on
meeting?
there, I believe.
So I was like, can a link be
I'll
put
make sure
under
it- yeah,
here so
absolutely.
that there's a little more detail there,
Yeah.
other than just the
So,
summary?
I will tell you that I know I did the one gentleman, that of Beaver Dam, had asked me, he goes, I saw their increase. We went from, I call it $8 and change for sewer up to 40. I'm like, yeah, that's the new sewer plant. It's nothing hidden here. It's,
Right.
$110 million. We got a $20+ million grant for it. We chased every grant we possibly could. We got what we could. It's just aging stuff. This stuff all happened many years ago, and infrastructure is just going bad, and we got to do what we got to do. It stinks. Listen, honestly, at the end of the day, I'm gonna say it. I know my predecessors have said it that your town taxes is probably 22% of your tax bill. The school taxes are the most. You look at some of the, and it's not. I'm not making an excuse or anything. It is, you can only pull out of your savings so long. When that savings goes down, your only mechanism is this. And the savings went down, and it's come to this. So I will post this again. If anybody has any questions, 845-563-4610 is my office, or 845-629-1478. That's my cell. Call me, text me, whatever, and I'll help you out whatever I can. But again, we're doing what we can do with the tools we were given. So again, I thank the board for all that. I wish everybody a successful year. So I'm not, come on, what do you got? Phil wants to talk. Susan Scheibel, our receiver taxes said, wait, she's gonna throw something. She's throwing something at us. What do you got for us?
Well, there's something that a handful of us knew about and we're working on that Supervisor Bedetti only found out about until this morning. And I knew he wasn't gonna mention anything. I had to put it on paper so that I wouldn't forget and lose my train of thought because I was so excited. I couldn't let this moment pass without speaking up about it. A few months ago, I learned that the New York State Associations of Towns was accepting nominations for the Public Servant Meritorious Award. As I thought about who truly embodies public service and discussing it with a few others, one name stood above the rest: Stephen Bedetti. His entire life has been devoted to serving others. As a volunteer firefighter, a part-time police officer in Cornwall, a dispatcher for the New Windsor Police Department, town councilman, and now a supervisor of the town of New Windsor, he has never stopped answering the call when his community needed him. This award honors leadership, dedication, and making a real difference. And Stephen has done all that quietly, consistently, and with integrity. With letters of support from County Executive Newhouse and County Clerk Eskew, I was honored to submit his nomination. Today, I am incredibly proud to share that Supervisor Bedetti has been selected to receive this prestigious award. Stephen, as your coworker and your friend,
No problem.
I can say this from the heart: no one is more deserving.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So,
Thank you for everything you've given to this town and to all of us.
thank you. Yeah, so Sue came in the office this morning and I want to talk to you. I'm like, oh my God, what? Like, you could just tell something was on her mind. And she went into this, and then probably like a half hour after she left, I got this, pretty nice email from, I'll share it with you guys now that she's making me do it. From the New York State Associations of Towns saying that I got it. I guess, when we usually go down to the Associations of Towns in the city, that Monday, I guess they're doing a luncheon, and that's when they award it. So
Nice.
I thank you, Sue. Sue,
Congratulations.
I know Sue was not only the only one behind it. I know there was several others that were involved with it. I appreciate you guys doing that and think of it. I found out today, I don't know, I like to just be humbled about it, right? And just say, we got work to do. Let's not, it's not all about that, but I do appreciate it. I really do. I think everybody knows I wear my heart on my sleeve for this town. So, I do appreciate everybody here, everything. And yeah, that's, executive session time, I think, right?
Well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. I would like to make a motion to move to executive session to discuss justice court, the police department, the supervisor's office, and upon Dave's request, the assessor's office also.
Yes.
Motion.
And I would second that.
Roll call?
I'll move second. Okay.
Councilman Brown,
Yes.
Councilman Lincoln.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Councilman Morel?
Yes.
Supervisor Badett?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate, thank you, everybody, for
Yeah.
being here today.